Hey there again, everybody. It's Guardian Enzo back with you for another edition of Life in Japan. And this time, it being springtime, decided to do a little socially distanced Sakura video for you. Headed up to Kyoto for a couple of days and judiciously checked out some of my favorite cherry blossom sites and a couple of new sites as well. The crowds obviously are way, way down, as you would expect. No foreign visitors in Kyoto makes a huge difference just in that department. But even so, it definitely pays to be careful in how you conduct your business and try to concentrate on outdoor places as much as possible. And I avoided the really, really, really popular places, at least the more confined ones, as I've been doing for the past year. You get a fair number of people at some of these places like Nanzenji, but it's such a huge area that it's a little bit easier to spread out. In any event, so the weather was quite good, and which is always nice. And I started out in probably one of the two or three most famous places for soccer in Kyoto, which is the Keage Incline, which is a former railroad, which is now a walking trail heading into the Lake Biwa Canal, the very start of the Lake Biwa Canal, which you can see right here. And you can take that canal now all the way out to one of the places I visited on this trip. A little bit, maybe a couple days before peak on these, but still, we're getting pretty good coverage here. This is a place that's normally overrun by people, so this is one of those areas that, for considering the time of year, was probably a little bit better to visit than it would normally be, at least in terms of the crowds. Next up, we have Konchi-in Temple, which is Konchi-in is a Zen temple. It was founded in the 15th century by Ashitaga, the shogun, and not particularly well known temple. Quite a blinking you'll miss it kind of a place in between the incline and Nanzen-ji, but quite a beautiful garden and just a generally one of those places where you could go and maybe not see anyone else, maybe just see a couple other people. Here you see the Zen garden, which is quite beautiful. Borrowed landscape garden is the theme here. Yeah, really nice, really, really quiet, secluded, yet quite near intensely popular and well trodden places. Then, after that, we did go to Nanzenji, which I go to on every trip. It's free, it's glorious, it looks beautiful in the fall, it looks beautiful with cherry blossoms. Uh, it's just an amazing place. This is the aqueduct, which I may have even shown you in my old video. It looks like a part of old Rome in Kyoto or something. I don't know quite how to describe it, but it's one of my favorite places. The Sakura here were quite far along, uh, pretty close to ideal, I would say. And Nanzenji, it's one of those places, as I said, a lot of tourists, but so huge that you can kind of blend in. Next up, we headed up to Miidera in Shiga, which is one of my favorite places, Otsu. And Miidera is a very, very important temple that was founded in 672 by the Emperor Temu. And at one time was extremely, extremely powerful, a big rival for Mount Hei. And Enryakuji, big rival for power, very much a participant in the Genpei War. Was destroyed in that war, largely destroyed, but then came back. Here you see the Biwa Canal again. A little rabbit themed temple on the outskirts of Miidera there. I'm not sure if this is specifically connected to Miidera or not. Miidera itself, again, is really one of the most strikingly beautiful temples there is. Uh, Again, great for cherry blossoms. Pretty close to peak here, maybe a day or two short, but close enough for government work, as they say. Really, really beautiful temple. It's not generally overrun with tourists, which is nice. You can go and have a fairly quiet day out, and it's less than half an hour from Kyoto. Big, expansive grounds. A lot of 13th, 14th, 15th century architecture here. And really, really, as I said, a violent history. This is one of the big military monk temples, very prominent. It's a shadow of what it used to be as a result of that, but still quite huge. And one of the most beautiful temples in Otsu, which is, of course, also Miidera, which is my favorite temple probably in the world, well, I think it's probably my number one. Honenin in Kyoto and Miidera are probably my two favorite temples in the world. Just beautiful, just a beautiful spot. Otsu is Kyoto's little secret garden. It's really an amazing and under touristed place that's so close into Kyoto itself. I believe that's supposed to be Santa Claus there, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm not 100% sure, and I couldn't quite grasp some sort of a modern art installation. It seems to be Santa because he's carrying a sack of something. That's all I know. This is a nice view over Lake Biwa Ko. Miidera is quite high up on the hillside there, so you get some pretty expansive views of the surrounding area, which is nice. Uh, Otsu, the Otsu area, which is on the Keihan line. You can get a Keihan line pass for 700 or 800 yen and just ride up and down that line all day if you like, which is loads and loads of fun. After that, we went to Omi Jingu, which I visited before. I'll link to that post. But Omi Jingu is a very big shrine, but it was only founded in 1940. But it's now known to anime fans as the home of the Master and Queen finals, which Chihayafuru made famous, of course. Quite a beautiful temple with some weeping cherry, shrine, weeping cherries, other other trees, and now they've fully cashed in on the Chihayafuru connection. Of course, as you would expect, it's made a lot of money for this shrine. It's brought in a lot of tourist interest, which probably wouldn't have existed otherwise. There's also a famous clock museum at this shrine, but at this point, I think it's probably best known for Karuta. It is, in fact, as I say, where they have the Karuta Championships. And in fact, they have the Karuta Hall of Fame, which is somehow I missed on my first visit. I did not realize it was there. It's all the way on the north end of the shrine. Karuta Hall of Fame, in addition to being the Karuta Hall of Fame, is effectively the Chihayafuru Hall of Fame at this point. Chihayafuru, a huge theme, lots of interesting little gifts, charms, Chihayafuru themed. Uh, Lots of original artwork from Sutsugu Sensei and fan art, other things. I believe that's the Meijin Championship Cup there, if I'm not mistaken. Here's Taichi, of course. And they also have, this is a fan art wall that they have there, which I imagine is probably only the barest minimum selection of what they get. And of course, this is also the place where the hall area is also where the actual Meijin and Queen tournament is held. And this is the room where it happens. This is as close as you can get to it, but this is in fact the room where it happens. There's two rooms adjacent to each other. And that is where the Master and Queen finals are competed. Very exciting. And this is some of Sutsugu's original stuff that she's donated to Omi Jingu, and it's mixed feelings with Chihayafuru, but it's still a pleasure to be there. Lastly, we have something called Himukai Daijingu, which is an interesting shrine, sort of hidden in the hillside up above the Keage Incline. I didn't even really realize it was there until this trip, but it's known as the Issei of Kyoto. Very quiet, very secluded. It's modeled after Issei Jingu, the most legendary shrine. This is the traditional shrine architecture that they use there, as you can see here. Very rare in Kyoto. It's only 10 minutes walk from Keage Incline, but you'd never know it. This is the Amaterasu Cave, which is also modeled after the one in at Issei. And just it has an inner shrine, it has an outer shrine. It's this was just after a rainy session there, so after the rain, as I call it, a really beautiful spot. And back down to the incline for one last farewell Sakura shot. And that, dear viewers, is our socially distanced Sakura trip to Kyoto. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's a strange time to be traveling in Japan. Well, it's a strange time to be traveling anywhere, but in a sense, it feels like the best time because you're not dealing with the huge crowds that you normally see in places like Kyoto, but you definitely go into it with very mixed feelings and it's almost surreal. In any event, I certainly hope circumstances allow me to do more traveling in the next year. If I am able to do so, you can bet I'll be sharing it with you right here. In the meantime, I thank you very much for watching. I thank you for your support as always. If you enjoy, I hope you will consider liking, subscribing, and I look forward to seeing your comments below. And again, thank you very much for tuning in and stay frosty.